Okay, so Palworld has dominated attention this week in the gaming world as it sets records as having one of the highest counts of concurrent players in Steam's history. But Palworld has already seen its fair share of controversy too. So with comparisons made with the iconic Pokémon series, while there are many similarities between the two games, well, here are some of the significant differences too. Well, for the first thing that I will talk about is Palworld has guns. You see, the thought of seeing Pikachu running around with an assault rifle is absurd, which is likely why so many people were shocked to see Palworld featuring an arsenal of weaponry that both the main player and his companion monsters can wield. In fact, guns are a huge component of the combat in Palworld, as you'll need them to take down powerful monsters as well as hostile humans. But combat takes place in real time too, so you will need to move your character around to dodge incoming attacks as well. This differs greatly to Pokémon, where there is an absence of weapons and combat is entirely logged to turn-based battles. You're also restricted to attacks learned by Pokémon, so the trainer can't join the fights alongside Pikachu and co. You see, Pokémon is also only available in Nintendo consoles, with which, Palworld over here is on PC and Xbox consoles. But ever since the series has launched, Pokémon games have only ever been available on Nintendo platforms, starting on the Game Boy all the way up to the Nintendo Switch. You see, this includes the main franchise as well as the various spin-offs. Unless you are using an emulator, this means it's completely impossible for PC, PlayStation and Xbox owners as well. This is because Pokémon is jointly owned by Nintendo, Game Freak and Creatures. Palworld, meanwhile, is owned by an independent company called Rocket Spirit. This means there is no reason why Palworld can't one day be available on every available platform. Right now, Palworld is in early access and available to play on PC, Xbox Series X and S version and Xbox One. It's currently unavailable on PlayStation 5 and the Nintendo Switch, but that would potentially change in the future once the game fully launches. And speaking of Pokemon being only on Nintendo consoles, make Palworld's graphics better than most of the Pokemon games. Though Palworld may not be a graphical beauty and has the advantage of being on PC, it is a better looking game than anything Pokemon offers. You see, the graphical limitations of the Switch have been duly reported, but it can give a breathtaking game like Breath of the Wild. You see, there is no excuse why Pokemon cannot deliver something similar. Palworld is an Unreal Engine 5 game and as a result is more polished and physically appealing than the last two Pokemon games that tried to expand to an open world realistic theme. Palworld also made it look easy by making big changes to the Pokemon like its open world structure. While Pokemon series has seen some open world elements in the last mainline games, Palworld is a broader open world experience. There is no escaping just how much Palworld borrowed from the other games and series beyond Pokemon, including The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Players can climb nearly any surface in Palworld, and there's a stamina gauge as well to balance this ability. There is a cooking mechanic in Palworld too, which can lead to temporarily boost beyond refilling health. You see, the crafting and gathering resource mechanics fall more in line with a survival game like Minecraft. There is end blocking in Palworld and it's a bit harder to craft and build structures, but the last two games certainly share DNA. Ultimately, Palworld has more in common with these two games than Pokemon. One thing you would also notice is that Palworld got difficulty options. You see, Pokemon was always meant to be a series aimed at kids to get them into RPGs. Well, except for some side quests, most entries were never that challenging. However, Nintendo never implemented difficulty levels beyond making the games generally accessible. Well, in Palworld, there are plenty difficulty options. Players can immediately decide to play on casual, normal, or hard. Plus, they can customize their experience with a wealth of options beyond that. They can decrease how much stamina is used up on actions like climbing. They can also boost the EXP earned. Its assist options like these will help carry the RPG genre forward for an ever-evolving group of players. Talking of Palworld's crafting being at its core, Palworld has a deeper crafting mechanics than Pokemon. Pokemon implemented light crafting mechanics in early games, with more focused effort on its recent generations. However, Palworld exceeds those attempts and offers players even more. The needs are more severe due to being a survival game, but other aspects make it feel refreshing. These include different armor that keeps in harsher biomes, tools that increase chances of catching pals, and the quality of life items like the gliders or grappling guns that make exploring easier. The abilities to automate these processes later in the game also allows the player to spend more time playing than crafting. And then one thing that I'll be talking about Pokemon is that Pokemon has more interesting characters than Palworld. You see, Palworld does not have NPC humans that roam around the map and then bosses to challenge, but they are simple. Most lack personality and are only there to act as traders or economy factions to provide some threat. The ones with a personality are bare bones at best. Characters have always been an area Pokemon has shined in, creating a myriad of NPCs that will forever be in the hearts of fans. This could be for compelling character growth, heartfelt touching stories, or even inspiring fear upon the mention of their name. Well, now let's shift our focus to Pokemon. You see, Pokemon has a much stronger story than Palworld. I think it is something we all know. You see, Palworld has no story to speak of, with only little journal pages scattered about the map that gives bits and pieces of information. There is a chance when the game has a full release, a story could be added that gives more linear quest line to follow, but currently it is just exploring and having fun. This may not be a drawback for some, but those who want a compelling story will be disappointed. Despite its troubles in recent games, Pokemon has still excelled at creating interesting stories that entertain its audience throughout the game. You see, Palworld is a survival game which tasks you with collecting resources and building a base. You will need to craft your own tools and weapons while also managing your hunger levels. Palworld even features a wanted system, making characters more hostile to you when committing crimes. Besides survival and building your case, there isn't really a main objective in Palworld. Pokemon differs greatly in this respect, tasking you with catching all the monsters available, beating all the gym leaders, and then defeating all the Elite Four. There are no survival elements in Pokemon, so you don't need to worry about your hunger levels. But as a result, Palworld is actually more similar to games like the Ark Survival Evolved when it comes to gameplay. One thing that I'll also be talking about is Pokemon battles are better than Palworld combat. The ability to fight alongside your pal is an advantage Palworld has, but it ends at that. Type effectiveness does not matter, but it is simplified when compared to Pokemon. Pokemon has more gimmick status effects, moves, and items that make battles feel unique. Every Palworld battle is the same rotation of throwing out super effective pal, shooting alongside it, and then dodging whenever the enemy pal switches targets to the player. Well, these fights are more physically damaging, demanding than those in Pokemon, but they are not very strategically appealing. In case you don't also know this, Pokemon has a wider range of 19 Pokemon types compared to Palworld, which is only 9. You see, though Palworld has said more pals will be added in the future, no word has come about if new types will come with them. Currently, the game has only 9 types, and that lack of range is sometimes felt to the game. The lack of many dual types along with this limited range does make it feel weird to build teams sometimes. As in Pokemon, it is natural to have one team with wider coverage. In contrast, Palworld feels better to tune one's entire team to whatever type they will encounter. Palworld may be Pokemon's biggest challenge to date, filling a void in an untapped market that desires a well-made creature collector. The game may be far from perfect, but considering it is in early access and already better polished than recent Pokemon games at launch, well, don't get me wrong, this is a great start. As it moves forward, Palworld will likely continue to do things better and worse than Pokemon, but if it can build off from its near-perfect start, it may even reach the same popularity level. Well, the last wild difference between the two creature types is that players can use pals directly as weapons. You see, players can build weapons and other gear to equip themselves with, but they can also make gear for specific pals to enhance them via partner skills. For example, many of the bigger ones can be equipped with saddles for exploration services. One of the best early monsters to catch in Palworld is called Nightwing, and it can fly. Yeah, it's really obvious Palworld is a Pokemon spin-off, and I think it is a really great game. Also, it being on PC is no doubt a really advantage over the Pokemon, and that would probably make it very high sell. So yeah, catch you guys next time. Bye for now.